Good morning, Jiu-Jitsu friends. Today's practice, I want to take us through some shoulder and upper back postures. It's probably one of the more neglected elements or body parts when we do our Jiu-Jitsu, even though we do a lot of gripping and pulling and moving and stuff. You probably really feel it in your chest and arms if you have a bit of a break and then you come back to Jiu-Jitsu. But we get so hyper-focused sometimes on our hips and our flexibility in our hips that we forget how much we need the shoulders and the upper back as well as that lower back. So I thought today's practice is well, my Jiu-Jitsu ones always are a little slower moving. Because I like to focus on our stretch and flexibility and opening up of the muscles and joints. So this one is going to be very similar. Again, it's going to be a lot of chest, shoulders, upper back. So don't be surprised tomorrow. Those things are a little achy, okay? And each posture we're going to hold for about roughly 2 minutes. So there will be some holding of these postures, okay? So if it sounds like there's a little more silence than usual, be thankful. I'm not usually quiet that long. All right, are you ready? Let's go. So to start, we're just going to take a nice seated posture. We'll do a little warm up here of our shoulders and everything. So nice seated posture, just legs crossed. If you're on your knees, that's okay too. Hands down to the side on the mat. We're just going to do some shoulder rolls, okay? So, and again, let's follow our breath, right? Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, belly retracts. In through the nose, out through the nose. Okay, so inhale, up goes the shoulder. Exhale, roll them back and down. Inhale, up, shoulders to ears. Exhale, back and down. Take a couple of those on your own. Good, now the other way. Inhale, up, exhale, forwards and down. Inhale, up, exhale, forwards and down. One more, couple more, sorry. Your time here. Just really want to wake them up. Good. Inhale, hands overhead, palms facing each other. Turn your pinkies towards one another. You'll feel your shoulder blades kind of open up a bit. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bring your hands back down to the ground. Inhale, hands overhead. Exhale, lower your arms straight out in front of you, palms still facing each other. Interlace your fingers. Flip your hands so your palms are out and push your palms, curving your spine. For a seated cat here. Seated spinal curve, spinal perch. Inhale, release your hands, float your arms all the way around to your back and interlace your fingers behind your back. If that's not accessible to you, just put your hands on your hips as we open up the chest this way, okay? So if accessible to you, interlace your fingers and squeeze your shoulders and shoulder blades together, really opening your chest. Lift your chin just a bit so your gaze is at a 45-degree angle up to the ceiling there. You don't want to overarch or hyperextend. Jiu-Jitsu does that enough for us, right? Good. Inhale, push the chest forward. Exhale, relax the shoulders down, keeping the fingers interlaced, pushing the tops of the hands towards the back of the room. Inhale, open the chest. Exhale, release the hands down. Give yourself a little shake out here. Bring yourself onto your belly. Just kind of roll over onto your knees. Be mindful of how you move. We're not in a rush here. If you found that you just jumped up and rushed onto your belly, get back up onto your hands and knees. Do it mindfully. That's what Jiu-Jitsu is all about too, right? The more we can pay attention to each movement that we make, most likely the more successful our jiu-jitsu is going to be. So what you're going to want to do here is take your left arm, sweep it underneath your right armpit, palm to the ground. You're going to take your right arm and you're going to reach all the way to the left side. Think of it as a bow tie under your body. If you have a block or a pillow or anything, you might want to put it here for your forehead to rest on. Palms facing down, arms crisscrossed, just below the chin, just above the breastbone there. Really feel those shoulders in the back, that upper back opening up here. And we'll hold this. Let's do about 10 breaths, okay? You might feel a little bit of tingling or that in your fingers or your arms. If you do, just ease off a little bit. Maybe walk your fingers up towards the front of the mat just to loosen the amount of crisscrossing you got going on. If you want to stretch, that's okay. You're really going to feel these today. This is more of a yin type practice, which is really working those ligaments and tendons, and we're actually almost starving them a little bit, and then when we release, they get totally reactivated. To come out of this, kind of walk your right hand, take your fingertips and walk it all the way around to that right side, and then support yourself with the right hand and kind of walk those left fingertips over. Good. Just come all the way down onto your left cheek here. Bring your arms down to the side for a second. Palms facing up. Just relax those arms for a second. Sometimes one of the hardest things for us to do is just to sit still for a second, and I appreciate that. If we can do it, we can conquer lots of things. On your next inhale, bring your arms back up under your shoulders here. Extend your left arm straight out overhead over in front. Walk your right hand underneath your left armpit. And then walk your left fingertips all the way around to the right side. Bow tie, the opposite side here again. Bring that block wherever is handy. Given a lot of the sitting at computers and desks and that now, doing the shoulder opening and chest opening and upper back working exercises and stretches and yoga postures are quite needed. So take a few more breaths here on this side. With each exhale, maybe feel your forehead being able to sink down a little more, or your chest into your arms here a tiny bit more. Three more breaths. Again, take that left hand, bring your head up and walk your left fingertips all the way back up over through the top to the left hand side. Push yourself up with your left palm. Walk your fingertips over to the right. Come onto your forearms, your elbows under your shoulders. Coming into a Sphinx pose here, press the tops of your feet down into the mat. You'll feel your kneecaps rise a little bit, generally speaking. You've got your fingertips almost like a claw motion. Maybe try and feel like you're pulling through your fingertips, pulling your chest forward. Inhale, pull a little more. Exhale, soften the hips down. Knees forward. On your next exhale, lower your chest down to the mat, widening your shoulders here. Exhale, push yourself up onto your knees, hips up. Keep your knees on the mat. Walk your fingertips forward. If you have blocks here, you might want to actually bring them handy. I apologize. I meant to do that sooner. And have them kind of in line with your shoulders here, where you have enough space where your head will come down in between these blocks. So you only have one block, maybe line them up this way in front of you, okay? What we're going to do is bring those elbows, not yet, sorry. We're gonna do a sidetrack there, sorry. Walk your hands out now that you have your blocks. We're coming into our puppy pose. Sink your elbows down towards the mat. And feel your chest, for the stretch in your shoulders and chest here if you can. Bring your forehead down. If your forehead doesn't seem to want to go that far, that's okay. This is where you can also have a block under your forehead as well. Until your head is ready to come down, and sometimes it may never work. It's like down dog. Some people, their heels just will never touch. That's okay. Another couple more breaths here in puppy pose. Maybe walk your fingertips forward a little bit more. Finding a little more stretch through the sides. Start walking your fingertips back towards your body, coming onto your forearms. Now we're going to get into this one here. So if you only have one block, that's okay. You can have your elbows on the block in front of you. Interlace your fingers behind your head. And let your head, so elbow, arms are bent, hands touching, palms touching behind your head. And your head sinking down to the mat, really opening up through those shoulders. Still up on our knees. Knees under hips, hips raised up. And take about 10 more breaths here. And 3 more breaths. With each exhale, maybe you can feel your chest wanting to sink a little closer to the mat. Really feel the stretch through those triceps here. Maybe walk your head up a bit, come up onto your elbows, releasing your arms. Down, down, down. Good. Come up onto the palms of your hands. You want to move very slow and mindfully when you come out of these postures, okay? Because we are holding them for a minute or two. It can be a little harder sometimes. So now I want you to come down onto your belly. Hands out overhead, palms facing the mat. Walk your left fingertips all the way, maybe come over, sorry. Bring your body to the right side edge of your mat. Walk your left hand all the way out to your side, palm facing down. And you're going to use your right hand to kind of bring yourself over onto your side. You can bend your left knee here for a little added support. Maybe a little bend in that right one. Maybe stack your knees. Okay, legs aren't too much of a focus here. We're opening up this right hand. You can bring all the way around and rest the back of your hand on your lower back. Maybe just on your hip. Maybe bring the hand up and around overhead. You got to gauge your flexibility here. You can just rest it kind of behind you on your hip back here. You gauge your level of flexibility for this one. If you want, you can extend that right leg. You might find a little more stretch here. So many variations. We're going to hold it for about 10 breaths on each side. Keep breathing in through the nose, out through the nose. Inhale, belly expands. Exhale, belly contracts. Breathing in jiu-jitsu gets forgotten quite often. We sometimes forget the power our breath has. 3 more breaths. Bring that right hand back around onto the floor to the right hand side here. As you bring yourself back onto your belly, lower your left hand down to your side, round it up under your shoulders. Start working your way all the way to the left hand side of your mat here. Extend your right arm out to the side, palm facing down. Use your left hand to roll yourself, opening up your chest here to the left side. Then you can bend those knees, you can keep your legs straight. Just really opening up that right shoulder. When you're ready, you bring that left hand wherever is most comfortable for you. Up around to the back, resting on the back, just up on the hip. You might have to just leave your hand on the mat in front of your belly here. That's okay too. Find what works best. But just make sure you can feel a little bit of stretch there through that right shoulder. That right chest area. Three more breaths. You might find too, when we start opening up the chest with these postures, that even breathing actually does become a little easier. Bring that left hand down to the floor on the left hand side there. Start to roll yourself back onto your belly. Very mindfully, like I said, the arms and chest might feel a little bit weird after these, okay? Bring yourself back to the middle of your mat. Hands under your shoulders. Exhale, push yourself up onto tabletop. Onto all fours, knees under hips, hands under shoulders. Find a nice strong tabletop. Bring some mindfulness into this. Turn the eyes of the elbows, little elbow divots here. Turn those so they're facing the front of the room, and you'll feel the strength through the arms here. Maybe push yourself up a bit. Just really feel the strength in this tabletop position, okay? Good. We're going to bring our right hand a tiny bit more center. So we're going to float our left hand underneath, walk those right fingertips as far out in front of us as possible, and those left fingertips as far to the right as possible. Thread the needle. Bring those right fingertips as far out as you can, and bring the side of the head, the left temple and left cheek to the mat there. Hips up high. And nice, thread the needle. Keep breathing. A lot of times when we get twisted, that's when we want to begin holding our breaths. Be very aware of the breath here. And let me assure you, next time you're rolling with someone and you find yourself in a twisted up position where you normally hold your breath, the more you do yoga like this, where you really focus on the breath, the more it just becomes natural. And if you're breathing, you don't get tired out nearly as quickly. And like everything else, it requires practice. Let's do 5 more breaths. Begin to walk your fingertips, your right hand fingertips all the way around to the right hand side, and swoop them into the top of the bicep, the left bicep here, so you can push yourself up again, very mindfully, right? Inhale here in your tabletop. Exhale, bring your hips to your heels for child's pose. Extend your fingertips out, extend your shoulders. Exhale down. Bring your arms all the way down, your hands to down beside your feet, palms facing up. Just a little rest here before we do the other side. Maybe take this opportunity to widen the stance on your knees and get that little extra hip stretch out of that as well. If you want to take advantage of this child's pose. Or you can just keep your knees together as well and just take it as a more relaxation, reconnection. Think of this as that moment when you kind of have your opponent controlled and you're trying to think of your next move. Sometimes it's worth taking a rest. Inhale, bring your arms back up, coming back up into tabletop. Pushing through nice and strong. Excellent. Bring that left hand a little more center as we begin to walk that right hand under the left armpit, bringing the arm down to the mat, that right shoulder down to the mat, palm facing down. Left hand sweeping up overhead, fingertips walking as far forward as possible. Nice, thread the needle on the other side here. Good. 5 more breaths. Good. And when you're ready, bring your left arm all the way back around to the left side to help push you back up into tabletop. Good. And we're gonna stay here in tabletop. You're gonna curl your toes using your hands. You're gonna push yourself up onto the soles of your feet into a big squat here. Hands on the mat, your feet maybe hip width apart. Just a little squat coming up to relax the arms. Walk your hands all the way around to your back, just under your bottom, and then walk your feet out. That was just a fancy way of coming onto our back. If you have your blocks here, we're going to go into a supported fish pose. If you don't have blocks, that's okay. I'll show you the block version first. Well, actually, here, I'll show you the non-block version first. So come down onto your back nice and mindfully. Hands to the sides, hip width apart. Now, there's a couple ways you can do this when you don't have blocks. One way that I do like is I bring my hands in that diamond shape where your index fingers and thumb on each hand. Next, I bring that just to my lower back here. So you're gonna have, you might have to play with it a little bit to find what works for you. But then you bring your shoulders under your elbows underneath you. You bring your upper body up and you bring your elbows as close together as possible. Then you allow your chest to go towards the sky and your head comes back and you'll feel your hips come up. Slide up your hands here, just like that. Okay. So that is a non-supported fish pose. If you take this non-supported version, just hold it for about 5 breaths and then come out, okay? And then you can maybe go back into it after. Yes, I don't want you to hold it too long. For your supported fish, I want you to have 2 blocks. You have, make a T shape with your blocks here, okay? Top block's gonna be for your head. The second block here goes just right in between the shoulder blades, okay? So, little fancy maneuvering here. Again, take some adjustment. So you might want to come down to your elbows to get on that first block. There you go. Just on the back of the head. Legs straight out, toes pointed to the wall behind me or to the edge of my mat there. And now rest the arms. You got variations here too, right? Arms come down to the sides. You can really feel that chest open. Or you can bring your arms all the way out into a T shape, or you can even bring your arms overhead. You take what variation where you feel the most comfortable stretch across that chest in your body. Again, this is one of those, especially if you drive a lot or you're at a computer all day, where you're kind of crunched and hunched over. This is one of those great ones for really opening up that chest. And you don't need blocks. You can use books or really anything that is just solid enough to support you in this position. You don't need to rush out and buy blocks or anything. Just roll up some blankets if you happen to. Like a little 2-bedded blanket or a towel. Most people have a towel. Pair of jeans handy. Or 3 pairs of leggings. Couple more breaths in and out. As you exhale, kind of bring your arms back down to your sides again, very mindfully. The best way to get out of this is to kind of roll off your blocks to one side. And then remove your blocks, make it a lot easier to come onto your back. Maybe bring your thighs to your chest here, wrap your arms around your shins, just to kind of level out, find some balance there. Inhale, squeeze. Exhale. Soften your lower back into the neck. Maybe side to side. Good. Release your legs. You can enjoy a nice little lie down here for a second. Maybe contemplate that position you're working on, kind of work through it in your brain there as you're enjoying a final little rest. Take a little meditative moment to focus on your next open guard that you're working on, or closed guard, or maybe your submission, if you choose. Take this moment to kind of work your way through that. And I hope you found this helpful. Thanks for coming out, and remember, keep breathing. See you on the next one.